Hello everybody, it's Miss Mullins. Let me make sure that you are here. So here's where I would check in with all the students. This is a math lesson, which I usually do after reading. So I would do reading in the morning, give the kids a quick break, and then come back in for math. So I would take attendance real quick, say hello to everybody, and let's see. Okay, now that we know everybody's here, let's make sure you have your supplies for today. So check your rubric for today and make sure you have all the things listed on your rubric that we needed, on your schedule for today that we need for the day. So make sure you have your even and odds board, your whiteboard, and your marker. Okay, so our learning target today is even and odds. So today we are going to decide if a number under 20 is even or odd. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to be checking for number pairs. So here is our learning target for today. I can decide if a number under 20 is even or odd by checking for number pairs. By the end of this lesson today, you will be able to do that. So then I would normally not normally, but sometimes I'll go to a Brain Pop video because the kids love Brain Pop and think that it's great. So there's an even and odd Brain Pop that I would show, and I'll pause it throughout so that we can talk about the concepts learned. After the Brain Pop video, we'll come back and I'll say, okay, what do y'all know about even and odd numbers? So accessing prior knowledge. Let's talk about things that we know about even numbers and things that we know about odd numbers. So, excellent knowledge that we have already about even and odds. The things that we have learned about even numbers is that even numbers have a buddy on our grid. Odd numbers do not have a buddy. Poor odd numbers. So we'll start today with a warm-up. So I need everybody to get out your whiteboards and get out your expo markers. And I want you on your whiteboards to write the number 2. Super easy. Write the number 2, and then I want you to write 2 dots next to it. So write the number 2 and then 1 dot, 2 dot. Then I'll have them write that down and show me your whiteboards, and they'll show me their whiteboards, and I can check everybody's whiteboard to make sure that they have that written down. Okay, whiteboard's down. Now I want you to write the numbers 2 plus 2 and then write what that equals. So show me your whiteboards when I get to 0. So 4, 3, 2, 1. Show me your whiteboards. And everybody holds up their whiteboards at the same time, so they should have 2 plus 2 equals 4 written on their whiteboards. And I'll be checking here, checking everybody's whiteboards, making notes if anybody's missing this concept where I can go back in later for remediation. Awesome. Okay, then we're going to write the number 3, and then we'll write the number 3 plus 3 equals 6. Then I have the kids usually feel their foreheads after our warm-up. If your forehead is feeling warm, then you are warmed up and you are ready to go. Show me your thumbs up if you're feeling warmed up and ready to go. Then we will put our boards down and I'll say, okay, here we go. I need you to focus and listen. I can tell that you're listening by showing me your learning goggles. Show me that you're ready to learn. This helps by making sure I can see both of their hands and that they are totally focused on me. All right, hold up your goggles as I show you even numbers. So an even number would be like the number 2. You can see here on my block, I have even number is 1 dot and 2 dots. These are 2 dots on our grid. I'm just showing my grid. I need you to focus, show me your goggles, and I know that you are focusing and not playing with your grid, but listening to mine first. Okay, so look, we have a buddy pair. The number 2 is an even number. 2 is an even number, and you can tell here because I have 1 dot up here and 2 dots and another dot down here that equals 2. 2 is an even number. The number 2 is even, and any number that ends in 2 is even because I did 1 dot up here Another dot down here for 2. That is a buddy pair. 2 is an even number. Your turn. This was I do, now it's we do together. So I want y'all to pull out your boards and fill in 2 dots on your boards. We are going to do this together. We do. So everybody fill in 2 dots on your board, on your even and odd board, and show me yours. So then I want everybody to see their 2 even dots, okay? So we have gone over our learning target. We're working on finding that the even numbers have pairs, all right? So the next number that is even is 4. So fill in on your even and odd board 2 more dots. You can see here 2 more dots. That is the number 4. So I want you to circle the pair. 4 is also an even number. You can see because we have a buddy here and we have a buddy here. All right. And then we would do the same thing for 6 and for 8 and for 10, which would mean that all of our dots are filled into our grid. So we would do that together as a group. So we could see, just looking at our even side, you can see that all of these numbers have pairs, okay? So we could circle our 2s, we can circle our 4s. All of these buddies have pairs, and I would ask the students, what do you notice about all of our even numbers? And they can raise their hand and tell me all of our even numbers have pairs in them. So by that point, we'll take a deep breath, put our boards down, erase our grids, wiggle it out, stretch it out, stand up, stretch. Deep breaths, make sure we're ready for odds. Going back to our learning target, we are deciding if a number is even or odd by checking for pairs. So let's go to odd numbers. Our odd numbers, oh, we're sad. They do not have a buddy. Look at our odd number, just number 1. 1 does not have a buddy underneath him. We cannot circle a buddy for 1. Well, I showed it first. They had their goggles on. They were focused, listening to me. I could tell that they were listening as I showed them the 1. Now we are going to do it together, okay? Then we did 1 together. We're also going to do 3 together. The number 3 is an odd number because we did 3 dots. We always do top, bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom. So we have filled in top, bottom, top for the number 3. 3 is an odd number because they do not have a buddy. Poor number 3. 3 does not have a buddy, so 3 is an odd number. Practice this on your boards. Hold up your board. I'll give you 10 seconds to do your 3 dots. So I would give them 10 seconds and I would say 3, 2, 1. Hold up your boards. And then we'll go through 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. And I would have them fill in their even and odd grids, and they'll show me. I'll make notes on my own for any students who are going to need some remediation after this lesson. I'm taking notes throughout the whole time. So after we have practiced our numbers together, we'll go over this chart again. Look, now we have our evens with our buddies, and we have our odd numbers here. What do you notice about the odd numbers? And we'll go through this again, and I'll have more students raise their hands and answer to give everybody a chance to participate in this lesson. The odd numbers do not have a buddy. You can see here all the odd numbers have 1 dot without a buddy. That's how we can tell if it's even or odd. So I'll be taking notes from seeing who's participating, who will need extra help after this lesson. After this, I will quiz them and I'll say, okay, everybody, show me the number 4. And I'll have them fill in with their grids the number 4. show me 4 and see if they've done their 4 dots, top, bottom, and I'll say, is this even or is this odd? And then I'll have them show me their boards, or sometimes I'll have them enter in, if I have a typing box where I'll say, here's your quiz, number 6, send me an E for even, an O for odd. So then I can be gauging individual student data, and I can make and check and see who is grasping this concept, who needs further remediation. Every student will be accounted for this way. So I can quiz them by showing me their boards, but also by entering in a chat. If I have a chat box, is how I've done it in the past. So then I can give students feedback after each quiz. I'll show them the correct answer, and I can show them one quiz that I do incorrectly. So I can show them a 3 and say, this is an even number. And they'll say, no, Miss Mullins, that's not an even number. I say, why is that not an even number? Somebody help me. And then they'll raise their hand and tell me how I was incorrect, because that number is even, because it has a pair, or it's not, because it does not have a pair. They think it's hilarious when I make mistakes. So that is also a good way to keep them engaged. So after quizzing them, I will have a great idea of who needs further remediation, who's grasping this concept, and I can start forming my scaffolded groups that I'll meet with them after the lesson. So some students, I think, who can require further enrichment on even and odds, we can go further into this by doing 2-digit numbers or even 3-digit numbers, so further grasping that concept and keeping them engaged in a small group after this. And then I'll have a list of students who need remediation, so I can teach this to them in a different way. Like instead of pairs, I could teach them about memorizing the numbers 2, 4, 6, and 8 and showing them and quizzing them with different numbers. Is this even or is this odd? Or adding numbers together, 2 plus 2, 3 plus 3, 4 plus 4, different strategies there to make sure that all the students are grasping that idea. I will group them up either individually or based on different needs. So I would know my students at this point, and I would be able to determine which students can learn well together in a group based off of this lesson and which ones need individual help. So then I'll send the kids off, bye-bye, and I will tell them which students can stay on with me for this lesson, and we can go over a few more examples, because I can tell which students need a little more practice, and I'll let some students go and they can either go do the module that's connected to evens or odds. They can work on that, or they can work in their workbook, which will have different practice for even and odds. What I've done in the past is had they can do the modules where I can see their progress online, or they can work in their workbooks at home. And then their parents can take a picture of that and send that to me so I can check their progress. And then I'll have a quiz that will show up later during that day where the students can fill out the quiz that I've created for even and odd. That way I can gather individual student data and give them feedback based off of their performance on the quiz and their performance in the individual remediation or the enrichment small groups or the remediation small groups. I have a great idea and grasp of each individual student's progress on this concept. So they'll either work on the module, work on their workbook. I'll give some students, I'll tell them what time they need to log back in so that they can work with me individually or with small groups on this concept. I showed them the learning targets in the very beginning of the lesson, and I would make sure at the very end that we review the learning target, and they can let me know how they're feeling with a thumbs up to the side or a thumbs down, or they can send me a chat or a message later if they need help. We did the I do, we do, you do practice where I first showed them and then we practiced it together, and then I quizzed them and let them do it on their own, and then I have an assessment for them later today as well as an assessment that we did together, which will give them good feedback. We practiced the concept together and went over the learning target at the end of the lesson. I'll always review that as well. So that is a very small version of what a lesson would look like for me.